Hey, welcome to Which Watch. Today is a special unboxing. Really excited about this. It was sort of a spur of the moment thing. It happened a few days back. TGV with the Urban Gentry dropped a video saying, hey, here's this watch I've been working on. I don't think there was really any press that covered this beforehand, so it was kind of a surprise. And felt a little lukewarm on it at first, but then as the video continued on, as he was showing the watch, I sort of was like, I think I could really like this watch. And plus I love the Urban Gentry, as I'm sure many of you do as well. And I love Mark from Long Island Watch. I've watched a lot of both of their videos. Have never ordered a Long Island watch yet, but this one just came in the mail. It was only a few days to get it shipped here, so very excited. I have taken this out of the exterior box, but I have not opened this yet. So you're gonna get my my first reaction to this. Mark or TGV, if you happen to be watching this, because I think maybe this might be the first review of this watch that's not from your inner circle. Hi, thank you, everyone loves you, and for good reason. All right, so let's go ahead and flip the camera around and check out this watch. Here it is. Check it out. How exciting. Cool box, cool little color. Made in China, but hey, I'm half Chinese, so I'm not complaining. All right, so this is the watch here, huh? Let's check it out. Ufa la beauty. Okay. All right. First thing that's sticking out to me, this thing has really high legibility, and this is something that stuck out to me in TGV's video and in Mark's video as well. These markers are just so clear and easy to read. I've never had a watch before with this arrow hour hand, but that makes it super simple too. It's not actually this time, but I can see right now 222. Boom, right? It's like a fast draw, sort of easy reading watch. Now, for comparison's sake, I think that this Smith's Everest is legible, but I mean, look at the difference. And this one still has its plastic wrap on, right? Let's get that off. Let's see what it looks like. All right. Now that is cool. I like it. All right, again here, look and see. This thing is going to be legible even when there's not a lot of light. You know what I mean? Because look at how thick the hour hand is and the minute hand. And it's cool how they have a white paint around the surround, right? I think that's what makes it, that's the thing that really separates it from a legibility perspective. Because if you look at the Smith's watch, and most of the watches that I own, they're stainless steel around the outside, and then they're filled with lume. This one's filled with lume and then painted white on the outside, so that contrast is it's pretty good. Another thing to compare it to, check this Grand Seiko out. There is no lume on here. Now the Grand Seiko has pretty good legibility because it's got brushed tops to the hands, and the indices have sort of a striping on them that sort of gives them a little bit of a brushed-ish finish. But I mean, from all angles, there's no mistaking the time on this Islander watch. All right, the controversy of the logos. I saw a lot of people who were talking about this online, about the logos. A lot of people don't like Mark's logo. To be honest, I'm sorry, Mark, I love you. I don't think I really like it either. And I think the reason I'm not really into it is it's kind of it's like a watch on a watch. It's almost like a logo of a watch on a watch. But Mark's such a great guy, it hurts me to even say it. By the way, Mark, I do like the new font that you have on the American, what are they? The American Amerigraphs. I like that cursive font. It's pretty sweet. So I don't know. Some people were saying they wanted the TGV line on the top. I get it. It's an Islander watch, so the Islander logo's on the top. One of the things that really struck me about the design that I really liked is the smiley face self-winding, right? So it almost looks like like the Black Bay 36, like a lot of tutors have that sort of smiley face in the font. But this one, I believe, follows the curvature of the circle, or it more closely does. The one on the tutor always seems to me that it's like a little bit too angled of a smile, if that makes any sense. It's not flat enough of a smile, so it kind of looks off to me, whereas this one looks really nice. And I do like the font of Islander under the lion. I think probably perfect scenario would have been the lion, like TGV's crest at the top, with Islander under it, because it is then being labeled as an Islander. At the bottom, I'm not sure, maybe I do love the self-winding smiley face. I'm not sure what on top of that, maybe like the water resistance, or maybe just the self-winding, I don't know. The thinness, it looks good. It looks like it's gonna wear really well. Let's go ahead and take the stickies off here. And again, this is just a first impression, so I'll give another video out here maybe in a few weeks to a month once I get used to this watch. But I can tell you right away, I like it more in person than I did online. And I am not always that way. In fact, I would say most of the time it's the opposite. Most of the time it looks better in pictures and stuff online than I get it in person. I'm kind of a little bit underwhelmed. It's maybe like about 50% of the time, but I think more than often I'm a little bit underwhelmed when I get, and I am happy right now with this one. More than anything, I just wanted to support the two guys. Like I said, I think they're just so awesome. You can just tell that they're good. They've got good spirits. All right, so I love to support whatever they're doing. All right, initial impressions of the bracelet. It feels okay. It feels, I don't know with bracelets what they typically do. That gives them either a squeaky sort of feeling to them or a smooth feeling. I don't know if they add like lubricant in between, but this one has kind of a squeaky feel to it, which makes it feel a little bit cheap. But the actual build of it and the finish of it looks great. The links are sort of Seiko-ish, right? They sort of have this oval where it's sort of staggered. You can see it sort of steps down, steps down, steps down, steps down, right? That's a real Seiko-ish sort of vibe. Let's go ahead and see what it looks like on the wrist here. Oh my God, this is great. This is awesome. Wow, the thinness. Do not underestimate the thinness. Thinness is extremely important when you're looking at a watch. By the way, sorry about these reflections on the top. I worked on a setup that I'm going to be able to block these reflections. So in future videos, that should be addressed. It should be better. Oh, the thinness of this is just great. This thing wears so nicely. I love it. It's like a perfect size too. My wrist is 6 3/4 inches, and I've just really fallen in love with thinner watches. As you can see from earlier, I have this quartz Grand Seiko, and one of my favorite things about it is how thin it is. It truly, I mean, everyone talks about case diameter and lug to lug, but the case thickness is extremely important. And right here, they just nailed it. Let's go ahead and see what this feels like. Nice little wind. Of course, they didn't make the movement, so they can't really control how it feels when it winds. Very much I like that there's no ghost date position. And I like that there's no date, right? Because what that means to me is that this watch, is simple. So it's going to, people who really like a simple aesthetic are really going to like this watch, right? But the other piece to it is that people who have many watches, like probably most of you freaks out there, I always find it to be a pain when I get a watch out and I usually don't set the date on it because I know I'm just going to wear it for the day. And then, what's the point of setting the date? So then it's weird though, because you're wearing a watch that has the wrong date on it. So I like watches that just do not have a date. However, if this was my only watch, then then maybe I would like a date on it. I still think I prefer no date though, just for the simple aesthetic. Amazing. The action of screwing it in, the threads, there was no graininess, no sandiness. Feels smooth, and when it's screwing in. Some watches I have, it's sort of vague. Is it actually, hooking onto the threads or not? That one was very positive, right? It communicated to me that it was threading. Let me try to turn off this other light and see if it makes it better. Is this any better now? It might actually be better without this artificial light. So let's keep going like this. Wow, what do y'all think of this? This is great. Let's check out the case back. I was like, wait, it looks weird. It's because there's plastic on it. All right, that's a hottie. That is great. It's wow, that polishing on there pops, doesn't it? Look at that. Bada bing, bada boom. Beautiful. I just love it. Okay, so one thing I was worried about. Two things I was worried about. One, the bezel. Because it's brushed, and I guess, I don't know if it's the case as well. Online, it looked very thick to me. To the point of being like a little bit brutal. Right? Brutal? Should I say brutal? Brutalistic? Anyway, you get what I'm trying to say. Now I understand, and in my opinion, that sort of fits the general vibe of the watch, though. Right? What TGV said was he was sort of going for this sort of like, alternate universe, future, near future type thing, like militaristic. And I think that this bezel makes it even more so that vibe, right? It just gives it this almost like a starship, like person that's shooting lasers out of a gun. If, say, they for some reason hadn't discovered quartz in that universe and they were still using mechanical watches, like this is what it would look like. Once they get their suit off and they go out for a beer, with their stormtrooper buddies at the end of the day, this would be like the watch that they're wearing. It is cool. And you know what I can say about this watch? Even though it has just a really typical, 369, it looks like an Explorer. Is it an homage to an Explorer? Is it an homage to the new Ranger that came out? Again, like TGV had said, they actually started designing this before they even knew that was coming out. So a really unfortunate coincidence. Not that it mattered to them at all, because all 500 of these sold out within a few hours. But what I'm trying to say is this feels like somebody took time to make this, and it feels like somebody put themselves into this design. Like you can almost just see that when you're holding it. You can feel the amount of attention that went into it. Truly, I really do like the gap at the 12. Supposedly, some watches have this or used to have this. It helps you set the sync the time, right? So I guess if you pull the crown out right when it hits the beginning of that gap, then you're likely to get it to stop directly at the 0 second mark. I don't know. Let's try it. Let's try this. All right. Pressure's on. What? Wait, what? Oh. I'm trying to get this on the camera, so it was a little far away. I stopped it. So now. Okay. I could see that working. I mean, I kind of messed up the flow of it, but I could see it working. In fact, look, I got it basically dead on right now. Although usually I don't have trouble with that anyway on a watch, but it's still just cool. Again, a cool detail nonetheless. All right. The female end links. I've been recently changing my tune on end links over the past, few watches that I purchased. For the longest time, I was adamantly on team female. I had no understanding why anyone would make male end links when they kind of make the watch like it has buck teeth, and it can make it stick out over the edges of your wrist. But then I got this watch that has male end links, and it was like, did not have any of those problems. And I was like, oh, and one thing about male end links is they sort of, for a watch that's a good size, like this is the SGBX 271, I believe. The male end links can help it hold onto the center of the wrist better, while still, not overhanging if you got the perfect fit, right? And you can see the way this Grand Seiko is, the lugs curve down to help hug to the wrist as well. Whereas, with female end links, they sort of take care of that, right? Because you can see how they can mold to the wrist. You can see essentially it's almost like having a lug curved way down if you have a small wrist, or it can go out with the lug at the same angle if you have a big wrist, right? You can see on this side here, same thing. The other part about female well, I should say the other part, but one part about female that's a weakness to it is that sometimes it can lead to scratching in between the links here, because this is a spot with a lot of pressure, and you can get, some wearing on the top of this link or on the bottom of the lug. Not a big deal because, no one's really going to be looking for that, but just something to know. I love this watch. I when the video started, I thought I'm not getting that watch. It looks too weird. I really like very simple, classically sort of designed watches. I wasn't crazy about the font at first. But there was just something about it. And you know what it was? It was, like I was saying, the fact that I could tell somebody had put effort into this. I just could sort of sense that viewing it online, and in the hand, I can 100% feel that. So yeah, the brushed bezel, not a problem. Again, I think it adds to the brutalistic sort of vibe of this watch, and it's going to deal way better with scratches. Let me get out the SARB 33. Since this case was based on the SARB 33's case, I just want to see how close they actually are to each other. But you see, oh man, I do love a polished bezel. I do. I like watches to be mostly brushed so they're not getting scratches, but the bezel, there's something about a polished bezel that it's like my favorite. I like things that are really understated, but the bezel to me is like where a watch like sings. Like look at this on this Everest, how the bezel just sings off of it. It gives it like, especially in low light, it feels like you're like, oh, I got this sleeper thing. No one knows that it's fancy, but if I know how to look at it in the right light, it makes it fancy, that whole sort of thing. I don't know, maybe I'm crazy. Obviously this one doesn't have that at all because it's brushed. It's got this, again, it's just this sort of brutalistic vibe, and I think they just nailed it. Yeah, the cases are very, very similar in these two. Obviously, it's got that step down, which is an interesting choice because that's not brutalistic. That's elegant and sort of ornamental. But I guess, that maybe it's the balance he was shooting for. Trying to see thickness here. Yeah, obviously the Islander is thinner. The bracelet I like a lot better on the Islander. I always hated the SARB, how thin that center link is, and it just makes the links like long and weird without not a really good proportion, whereas this I feel like is a more masculine proportion. I don't know, like a little bit stouter, wider instead of long. All right, let's check out the clasp. Cool. Line looks good. To my eye, it looks like it could have been a little bit bumped up more. It looks a little close to the bottom here, but that's surely a nitpick. Feels pretty good. I'm not a fan of fold over clasps. They just add another step to it, but this watch is supposed to be worn by I don't know why I keep saying Starship Shooter. I don't even know if that's a thing, but in my mind, that's what... Ooh! This is it. Look at how legible. Now I'm just ranting here. But whatever. This is my video, so I can rant as much as I want. And you still get to see the footage at least. You can just mute the voice. This is the watch that I think is my most legible. Probably not anymore though. I mean, the Smith's watch, the numbers are just so clear, so clearly printed. But again, it's the metal, the stainless steel that's on the hands around the loom. Depending on the angle, they're twice as thick and you can really clearly see. And then the wrong angle, they're really thin. Over here, because of the paint, no matter which way you're looking at this watch, you know the time. And I was thinking, man, they should have made this 36 millimeters. It would have really been a treat. And I actually still kind of think I probably would have liked it better if it was at 36. But I tend to veer towards small watches for sure, as you can tell by my collection here. But this is, it wears a little smaller than I thought it would. Like it wears just right for me. And I usually tend to like, 36, 37 millimeter watches. This is a 38, and I think it's because it's thin. I think that's what it is. All right, not that you can actually buy these, but I guess you'll be able to find probably some of them secondhand market. Mine will not be for sale, at least for some time, because I'm definitely gonna wear this watch a lot. I will size it up and wear it for a few weeks, on and off, and then I will do a follow-up video that breaks down what I learned about this watch every time. All right, thanks for checking out Which Watch. We will catch you next time. All right, well, I guess I've time traveled. I said I'd be back in 2 weeks, and here I am right now. I turned the camera off, and before I could edit this video and put it up online, I was like, I just need to see how this thing fits on wrist with it sized up. And I mean, look, I had to show you guys a few wrist rolls because I know we got some fiends out there, and there's not a lot of footage of this watch yet. So look at that on my 6.75 inch wrist. It fits perfectly. Would I have liked have been a 36? Probably, yeah. But this is still really good. Check out the brushed bezel. I'm in artificial light now because it's getting dark outside, and you can see how it catches that artificial light. It's different than a polished bezel, right? I like polished bezels a lot because they reflect the environment, so you're sort of seeing a whole bunch of crazy stuff when you twirl your wrist around. When you twirl your wrist around with the brushed bezel, it's more showing you the metal, right? Showing you the color of the metal, the texture of the brushing, and it's sort of saying, hey, here I am in my full thickness. And in this case, I think it fits. It's cool. I was a little worried about the potential, like the duality of the step down case mixed with the rest of the styling of this watch. Is it going to have like an identity crisis? I don't think it does. I think it's cool. Another thing, where these end links come into the watch, a lot of watches have like play there, and there's some weirdness that goes on. This watch, it fits perfectly. A perfect fit. Has a really high quality like vibe to it with the end link and how it fits into the watch. And you can see it's very much like a Seiko. You can see the polish sort of running around it, and then there's a little bit of polish right in here too that gives it a little bit of a zing to it. Man, this thing is a beauty. Look at that. All right, I've already ranted for a long time, so I think I'm done. Catch you next time.